Sai Ram, everyone. Let's close our eyes for just a couple of moments and feel Swami's presence. Swami, beloved Swami, please talk through me and listen through all of us, for these are your stories. Please enjoy them. Let us keep the theme of this retreat in our minds and in our hearts and in our souls from this moment onwards, as we are starting this wonderful journey together for the next 3 days. Sai Ram. So, the setting of what I'm going to share, and I'm glad it's a small crowd, intimate, a large family, and I know many of you here. The setting is most New York City and Chicago. We're talking about 1991, 1992. I had few Polaroid pictures, nothing that I have here, no video. So all this is from memory, which I have a very bad one, so we've got to rely on his memory. So my kidneys had failed, and I was down to 5% functioning of kidneys. So there are a few doctors here, you'll know that I had to be hospitalized. And I was on dialysis, and it was rough. Over 3 decades ago, medical science was not what it is now. Not that dialysis is a fun thing anyway, but over 3 decades ago, everything was a bit backward, shall we say. And so I had to go into New York Hospital on the Upper East Side of New York, and I'm giving you these details so you can picture what happened. Put yourself in the shoes of the family members and the friends and the Sai Center that was involved in this story. So 3 times a week I had to go there from Jersey City, just across the river. We could see the Twin Towers from our window. And my husband had a relatively new job and had to travel from Monday to Friday, late husband. So he couldn't take me to the hospital. So Sai, S-A-I, service, the Manhattan Center in New York City, they decided to start a transport service for me. And without my knowledge, like, you know, you have food, sometimes food service for people who are very sick and people land up with meals. Someone would land up at my door in Jersey City to pick me up and take me to New York Hospital across the river every time I had dialysis. And someone would be downstairs waiting at the hospital to bring me back home. And I used to have 36-hour migraines after dialysis. So basically it took me from one dialysis to the other. There were all kinds of people in the transport service. There was someone from I should also say, the United Nations Center. There was a mom there with 7 kids. She didn't hesitate to add me to her car transport service. There was a disabled woman. She brought her disabled-enabled van. She picked me up and dropped me. All kinds of people, young, old, all colors, all religions, didn't matter. This is service. They did this for 18 months, because I was on dialysis for 18 months. And my husband wasn't around. He just couldn't quit his job for this. But Swami made sure that I didn't lack in anything those days. So that was the first part of the story. Then obviously it became clear that I needed a kidney transplant. And everyone around me was tested, and the only candidate was my younger brother. He was only a 25% match. Now in those days, that wasn't much of a match. There were no guarantees, not that there are guarantees given now for any surgery, but in those days it was even less. So he was going to give me his kidney. Now you can imagine my parents who lived in Chicago, how anxious they must be. Though they never shared it with us, with my brother and me. But they must have been terribly anxious, because you're talking about their one and only son giving their one and only daughter a kidney, 4-hour transplant. It wasn't going to be easy. They were going to cut 2 of his ribs and 4 of his muscles. Young man, he did have side effects after that for a long time. And we didn't know, of course, if the kidney would be accepted by my body, but we didn't even know if I would survive it. And we didn't know how he would be out. There were a lot of unknowns. So a few months before the transplant, my dad, who was a psychiatrist, so you know, a mental worker, if you will, but a devotee of Baba, called me one morning saying, there's vibhuti on Swami's picture. Now I have to tell you, we were an ordinary family. We had never received an interview. I had little external attention from Swami. My parents had the occasional Pada Namaskar. My father had once taken a manuscript, so Swami smacked him on the head with the manuscript. That kind of interaction. Nothing really major. Now I know there are people among you who've had pendants, lingams, rings, materializations, vibhuti. I mean, you've sent me vibhuti and turmeric and all kinds of things. So this may not seem like much to you, but in those days, 34 years ago, you didn't hear about these things much. Unless someone came in person and shared it with you. You know, there was no media the way it is now, fast media. You didn't know what was happening around the world. The only house that I had heard of that had this was in Connecticut. I think it was in Shelton, Badwani's family. And that was it. So when my father called and said, we have a Buddhi on a picture, it was like, wow. But that was it. You know, the mind doesn't absorb such phenomena, even now, even though I've seen it for many years now. And then he called in the evening and said, it's increasing. I said, oh, okay. So a day or two later, the next day my mom called me and said, it's over the other pictures also, not just the big main picture she had. And I have to tell you that my mom loved God's pictures. Swami, of course, Shirdi Baba, all gods. I mean, she just loved God's pictures. So they were all over the house. But their puja room their prayer room must have been about 8 by 10. And it was chock full of pictures and idols. So she called and said, it's growing. So now my mind went in a tizzy. I said, oh my God, the other family that got vibhuti, Swami told them to have open house, bhajans, let anybody come to see the pictures anytime they want. And that's the kind of house it became. I'm like, I'm not sure we can handle this, but whatever Swami wants. So I did what he has asked us to do. You know, Swami has said that if you have a question, you focus on me, on my photograph, for 10-15 minutes, ask me your question and wait, and I will answer it. So for many years, I did this. I've used it for decades. And I would hear the answers. Of course, Swami is our higher self. And I heard the answers, and I would write it down in my journal. I have journals and journals of question and answers from Swami. Sorry? Did someone say something? Okay. So then I asked Swami, I said, Swami, do you want us to open house? What do we do? Do we tell the Chicago centers? I mean, like, how do we handle this? We're so naive. And the answer I got was, no, this is for your family. I will send who I want to see the manifestation. That was peaceful for us, you know, even though we were tempted to share. So then, just imagine that it's grown like a huge picture of Swami. There's a little bit, and then it grows, and it fills his picture completely. Completely. So his face was, you couldn't see Swami's face. So my mom calls me and says, I want to see his face. I want to see Baba's face. What do I do? So I promptly asked the president of the Manhattan Center, what should she do? And the president was from Japan. This is Manhattan, you know, very international. And she says, tell her not to touch it. in Japan, they touched the picture where the vibhuti was coming, and it stopped coming. So tell her not to touch it. So I said, Mama, don't touch the picture. She was so disappointed. That night, Swami came in her dream. Clean my face. I can't see you. Clean my face. I said. So promptly, my dad went and got a new mustache brush. Slowly cleaned Baba's face, collected all that for me and my brother. Baba's picture completely chock full. Then all the pictures and all the idols in the puja room started getting either vibhuti or kumkum, the red vermilion powder, or haldi, turmeric, may have been sandalwood powder, I don't remember. Lakshmi, Srinivasa, Jesus or Mary, one of them was there, or both of them, they all got vibhuti. Then one day my dad called and said, the carpet is full of vibhuti. How can I walk into the puja room and walk on vibhuti? Chock full of vibhuti. Everywhere in that room. Now remember that this was just between like Swami and them basically. Because he knew how anxious they were. We didn't. And it was his grace to them. A relatively normal family. Not somebody who sits on the veranda or receives a lot of glory. And one day, my mother had a sandalwood statue up that high of Swami. And she had kept the idol in a suitcase. Swami came into her dream and said, why do you have me in a suitcase? Take me out. So she calls me and says, that's what Swami said. I said, take him out. And she took the statue out and put it on the altar, and vibhuti started pouring from that idol. I have the idol, I had the vibhuti for a long time also. I'm trying to think of all this. Oh, the Chicago Zoo had a baby elephant was born. So they put out word, competition. Send us names for the baby elephant, and we'll select one. So my mother sent in Shanti. My friend Shanti is here. And she won. So they sent her a little stuffed elephant about this size. We used to sometimes we called it Shanti, sometimes we called it Sai Gita. And the elephant was on a bookshelf in the living room. And the elephant was covered with vibhuti. One morning. So every day there were newer manifestations, more manifestations. I told you she used to keep pictures, his pictures everywhere. So there was a tiny picture, literally about that size, in a little coin purse, in a bigger purse, somewhere in the closet. That was full of vibhuti. The picture on the mantelpiece in the kitchen was full of vibhuti. Everything was manifesting vibhuti. My husband and I, we flew down, of course, to Chicago at one point. And I had wanted to take 21 photographs of Baba and keep it in front of his picture because I had heard that if you take pictures to a house where there is vibhuti, if Swami wants, the vibhuti will manifest on it. And I did the same exercise in the morning. Swami, I'd like to take, the meditation, 20-minute exercise. I'd like to take these pictures, please. And what I heard was, you don't have to thank them, that's my job. I will reward them. You don't have to thank them. But I was too tempted, So I took 21 pictures of Baba, and I put it on a newspaper. Ravi and I, my husband and I, we put it on a newspaper in front of the altar, spread it all over. And 5 o'clock, so we did this at night, 5 o'clock in the morning, he rushes to see the pictures to see what happened. And they were all covered with vibhuti. So despite what Swami had said, he was kind enough to these seva, transport seva people from the New York Center and from the UN Center to give them all vibhuti. So when we came back and later on At some point we had a bhajan and gave all 21 of them the pictures. You can imagine how ecstatic they were. Never had anything like this in their lives, never seen anything like it. So it's an extraordinary phenomenon. One day, the one and only visitor that I saw when I was there, remember Swami had said he would send who he wants. So there was a friend from a devotee from the Manhattan Center who'd gone to visit her daughter in Chicago. She and her daughter and the daughter's boyfriend, all Americans, came to the house to see the vibhuti. How they found out, I have no idea. So we're standing in front of the puja room, and I was telling them what had happened. Now, the prayer room, we had what's called in India, it's called a toran, like a hanging that goes from one door to the other, and it had icons of different deities all along, just the width of a doorway. And as we were standing there, and I was describing what had happened, the vibhuti starts manifesting from one side of the toran in front of our eyes and spreads to the other. And we're just looking at it like the mind cannot absorb something like this. It doesn't compute. That's all I can say. So we're just looking at it, and I don't know what they felt. We didn't say a word. Nobody said anything. So how many incidents like this? It lasted 2 weeks. Oh, please give me a 5-minute warning. 2 weeks completely filled our house with vibhuti. Everywhere. It was, it changed my mother and my father to, it just changed them in a way that went from just complete anxiety with the uncertainty of what was going to happen to a calm. A calm. They loved Swami, so there's the adoration. You already heard about the service. And there are people in this audience who have done similar service, I know that. The illumination is between each of us and Swami. And I'll let the main speakers talk about that one. So the transplant did take place. It was 4 hours. It was successful. It was rough. And just because we had all this attention from Swami, did we have no problems after that? No, they continued. They continued. But there was a quiet awareness that Swami will take care of us. And looking back, one of the lessons is to have patience with our life, whatever karma brings, because we had huge karma even after that. But when you look over time, which young adults would find hard to do, but let me assure you that over time you can see how Swami had figures in everything, whether we feel his presence or we don't. During the transplant, the president was now from Greece, the president of the Manhattan Center. She invited people, devotees, non-devotees, for 4 hours during the surgery. They sat in her loft in New York City and sang bhajans and said prayers in different languages. People just heard about us and were touched, and they came to pray, they came to pray, they came to pray. I mean, people from all over the world started sending us messages. Even though now it seems like such an ordinary thing to have a kidney transplant. It wasn't in those days. They prayed non-stop for 4 hours, and they invited my parents. So they were distracted from thinking about the surgery. They were in the bhajans. Now, at the time that the bhajans finished, I came out of recovery after the transplant, and there was a big clock on the wall, and I opened my eyes and I was in bliss. And I remember asking myself, why am I in bliss after surgery? My body was in pain. And now the doctors here might say, oh, it was the anesthesia or it was the morphine. Believe me, I've been through a lot of surgeries. Never did I come out in bliss. So it wasn't those two. Then I looked at the time, at the clock, and I realized the bhajans had just finished. Imagine the power of those prayers. Because I was in euphoria at that time. That transplant lasted 17 years, which is a long time. It gave me a good life. And 2 years after my transplant, I had a baby, which was also unusual in those days. New York Hospital would tell Ravi, my husband, and I, all kinds of things. This is going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong. This is all the risk. And we decided we'll take it from this year and bring it out to this year because they don't know we have Baba in our lives. And my son, as Anand mentioned, is a fine young adult now in the Sai fold in California. And we have the deepest gratitude for him. And I'm also sharing these facts because there may be some amongst you who need to hear that hope, that he was born to us 12 years after we got married. So he was a miracle too. How much time do I have on it? 5 minutes? Good. I think I've covered this portion because there are stories that are related. You know, I got my second transplant 7 years ago, and one of our sisters here used to wake up and talk about service 4 in the morning to take me to Orlando from Melbourne, an hour away or more, at 5 for blood tests 3 times a week after my transplant, and she did this for 4 months. Service. So I'm just going to leave all this with you. It's the story of one family, made a big difference. Have the challenges continued? Absolutely. I was on life support 3 years ago. Didn't know if I'd make it, didn't feel Swami's presence. But I made it, and I even came here for the retreat after that. And when did he show his presence? The first night I went into rehab after 2 weeks of being airlifted into hospital, and he likes drama, you know, this Baba. So dramatic. And I went into, rehab on a stretcher. I came out with a walker, so that's his miracle. But as soon as I went into rehab, I don't know if it was an afternoon nap or the night nap, I had a brief dream where Swami is behind a chair and he winks and he gives me something like a high five. I've come out of major surgery, for goodness sake, wondering where he's been, wondering if I'll make it through the night, when doctors say, call your family, we don't know if you're going to be around in the morning. And they came. My brother rushed over from New York City, my son rushed over from California, and then I got up after anesthesia and I was wide awake and there was no one around. I was strapped with tubes in my nose and ears and coming out through me, panicking, and then talking to God. Am I going to make it or not? And after those kind of experiences, he gives me a high five and a wink. I guess he's telling us life is a game played. Huh? So I would like to just say, let us once again keep service, adoration, and illumination in our hearts, in our minds, and in our souls as we go into this weekend. And just let's love him and serve him. Deeply grateful for this opportunity to recollect. Sai Ram.
And Sai Ram to all of you. So, when Brother Ajoy called me and out of the blue and suggested that I speak here today, I was full of fear, first of all, and hesitation completely. I didn't give a positive answer to him, and I kept thinking about it non-stop. How could I ever speak? I've never spoken in front of so many people. And so, 3 or 4 days later, suddenly I was reminded that why should I fear when Swami is here? And that's how I'm here. He's here. So I wouldn't have any fear. Swami also said, when you take one step towards me, I will take 100. And in our experiences, we have taken only micro steps towards Swami, and he took mega steps towards us and practically saved our son in the most critical moments of his life. So I wanted to share 2 experiences. So our son was diagnosed with autism, and once we heard that, we said, okay, he's going to be our sole focus. We are going to focus only on healing him and curing him and getting him as much better as we can, as long as we live. And so with that, we did not have any other interests. We did not think about anybody else. In the year 2000 or 2001, we came fortunately under Swami's fold. And like everybody would naturally do, they would want to read books, they would want to listen to speeches of Swami or read his messages eagerly. We did nothing. We just attended bhajans, that's the best we could do. And our mentor, Dr. Pappu, he encouraged us to go see Swami, have a darshan. Sreekar was 8 years old and he wasn't speaking. And someone told us he's not going to speak after 8 years, if he did not speak before then. So we thought, okay, we'll go. We went to Whitefield Ashram. We thought, okay, we're going to have a beautiful lesson. We're going to pray to Swami to help him speak. On our day of darshan, the message for the day was about surrender. We read it, my husband, myself. Sreekar, we read it, never registered in our mind the significance of the word, or not what it meant, what it was for, nothing. I happily went into the darshan line, took Sreekar with me, because he would be calmer with me. And the Sevadar lady stopped me and she said, he cannot sit with you. So go give him to his dad, or maybe this Sevadar gentleman can take him. And so I told him, yeah, he can recognize, but he does not speak. So he can recognize his dad. So the Sevadar gentleman held his hand, took him away. And then as I sat down, I suddenly realized, oh my God, what did I do? I gave my son away to a perfect stranger. That was my fear. And so I sat down, but I was full of agony. I was looking for him in the sea of all on the men's side, couldn't find him. He was actually very hyperactive at that time, at that age. And so the lady who was sitting next to me noticed this and she said, remember the message there that you had outside? It was about surrender. It never registered in my mind. And whatever she was trying to tell me, I could only think about Sreekar. It never made any sense. Darshan started and Swami came beautifully. He was practically, I thought he was gliding on the floor. And so he came and he stood right in front of me because I was in the first line. And as soon as actually I saw Swami, my mind went blank. It was transported into some realm. I forgot all about Sreekar. Everything, nothing, nobody came into my mind. So even when Swami was standing there, I never remembered why I came there. And nothing. Swami's darshan went, Swami passed away, and then he turned around and darshan ended. Until then I was in a different state of mind. And so right after the darshan ended, everybody was standing up and I stood up and I see my husband and the Sevadar gentleman come towards me, there was no Sreekar. He was nowhere to be seen. So, and the Sevadal gentleman said, "Oh, he shook my hand off and ran away." Sorry. You can imagine our state of panic. For me, the first thought that came to my mind is, oh my God, if a child is lost in India, it's so hard to find him. And my kid cannot speak. He cannot even tell our names. Our panic and anxiety was very high. And we are like, there are people leaving through the gate. And he could maybe leave through with them. And then how we're going to get him back? So we went to the office right by the gate and even asked the gentleman there, close those gates, please close those gates, our son is lost and we want to find him within the people. And the Sevadal gentleman said, no, we cannot close those gates. They will always be open. And, by the way, nobody gets lost with Swami here, nobody. Again, we were like, my God, we're not getting any help here. Now, did I pray to Swami? No. It never occurred to my panic state of mind that maybe I could pray. I could not think of that, but I was crying non-stop, looking through the people if Sreekar was there. And slowly, 10-15 minutes, people left, everyone left, no Sreekar. And my husband said, well, okay, I'm going to go outside and look for him now. You stay here, he may come here. So I stayed in the darshan hall and my husband went outside. I'm still weeping. I could not stop crying. I'm looking at each person, but that's not Sreekar, that's not Sreekar. And so while I was standing there crying, a lady approached me. She had such a kind face and she said, why are you crying? What happened to you? And I told her, my son Sreekar, he's 8 years old, he's lost and he cannot speak. So this is what my story was about him, because he cannot speak. She tried to comfort me and she said, who says he cannot speak? Who says he's lost? He's coming back. Everything will be okay. I couldn't believe her. I have to see him first. So I couldn't believe her. And I'm still crying. And she was still comforting me. And then she said, here is Vibhuti. Have this Vibhuti. You'll feel better. Have this Vibhuti. I did not understand why taking Vibhuti, everything will make everything better, because he's gone. My son was gone. So I even asked her, of what purpose is this Vibhuti for me? He is the one who needs this Vibhuti. So when he comes back, I want to give it to him. And she said, yes, when he comes back, you give him half and you take half. Saying that, she slowly helped me turn towards the gate. We're standing there looking at the gate, and for the next 10 minutes, after that, Sreekar walks in with his dad. His face was, of course, shocked, but we were completely in another state of joy there, finding him back. And she said, nobody gets lost here with Swami. And we did what she said. We gave him half the Vibhuti and shared the other half. When we went back to India, he did get his speech. His speech was coming slowly, actually slowly, little by little. Even till today, he speaks to the best he can. And what Swami has taught me in this experience is, of course, first, surrender. That was the most important message that I really had to pay attention. And the second thing, of course, is when we ask Swami something, it's on his timetable. We have to give that up, that desire up, put it in his lap. That's my understanding at least. Put it in his lap and say, Swami, it's yours. I gave it to you. I can't look at it anymore. I can't ask you anymore. I've already asked. It's all done. And that's it. We had to really forget it. But keep doing, working on it. That was my lesson. Was we still kept giving him speech therapy every day of the week until like a decade or so, and then we stopped. He still talks today, and that's Swami's beautiful grace. So the second experience that I wanted to share was 8 years later, in 2011, Sreekar went to school as usual, and by early afternoon, I got a call from my husband saying, Sreekar had an accident. I'll tell you when you come here, come to this hospital. I go to the hospital, and it turns out that Sreekar fell from a tree. And it was the first time I heard the word odontoid, which I think many of the medical folks here will know. I did not know anything. And we see Sreekar there lying in bed with a mask, neck brace, completely surrounded by nurses and therapists, and they're all looking to find the right size for his neck. And somebody told me, oh, he's had an odontoid fracture. We both we had no knowledge of the anatomy here, and the neck zero. So, oh, okay, odontoid fracture. What's in our minds? Completely dazed, shock, and the only thing we wanted was our son back, his neck back. That's all. So, did we still pray to Swami at that time? It did not occur to us. That state was, again, the same kind of panic. It did not occur. The thing we're supposed to do did not occur to us. Then actually, we came to know later that Swami had already done what he was here for, is to take more than 100% care of Sreekar. By that time, the moment he fell, when no other human being could have helped him, his odontoid, which is the bone that supports the C1 vertebra, the bone went right up, the broken piece moved right up, parallel to the spinal cord. Had it gone the other way towards the spinal cord, everything would have been catastrophic. We never understood that. But Swami already did it. He took that care for him and kept on doing it, because for the next 5 days, the doctors, we couldn't decide on the right way to fix this broken odontoid bone, and they were moving him from hospital to hospital. But Swami was sending us help, not him. He's already taken care of Sreekar, but we are the ones who really needed help. So he sent a devotee from the Miami Center with a lingam, and this devotee came, and even if Sreekar was not supposed to sit up with that bone there, we had him sit up, and they ran the lingam up and down his spine. Swami sent through so many other devotees that we had no idea. Even till today we don't know who they are, where they came from. But they mailed us pictures, beautiful pictures of Swami, messages from Swami, vibhuti from Swami, everything. And then our center even had bhajans for him, prayer sessions for him on the night before his surgery. They did a surgery actually after 5 days. And until this 5 days, while this kid was just being transported here and there over the hospitals, the bone was still intact. It just stayed in place. They did a surgery, and the doctor inserted a screw through the odontoid, passing through the 2 pieces. The surgery did not succeed. We did not know that. for 3 months. Actually, the doctor told us, make sure he does not move his neck. Actually, that was not possible to stop anyone from moving their neck. So now this became our focus. We have to stop him from moving his neck. I mean, it may seem a little comical to me right now, but at that time we were very serious. So we took turns. My husband, all throughout the day, would just sit with him, make sure his neck was still. And of course, after I came back from work, till the next morning, that was my job, to work, check his neck. Every 3 months, we would go see the doctor, and a CT scan was taken. The bones have not fused. So he was still in as much danger as before. We went like that, I think 3 times to see the doctor. That was 9 months, and then we realized this is not the doctor for us. So we started looking. We said, okay, we're going to take him to the best doctor in the country who can help him, his neck. We found one in Boston Children's, so we took him there. And the doctor was wonderful, and he said, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure his neck will never be in trouble like this again. But he said, do you know there's a miracle in his neck? And we said, no. So, well, there are all these bone pieces that are running around there, they're on the screw. And not the exact words, but that are loose. And his spine is still intact. They have not fallen into his spine. Even when he had his accident, the bone did not move into the spine. And in my mind, that is a miracle. So it occurred to me at that time, oh my God, all these months, this information, Swami protected us both, my husband and myself. He knew we were the panicking kind. So he somehow, we never got information about how bad things were in his neck. Otherwise, we wouldn't have survived with all this worrying, oh my God, he moved this way, oh my God, he moved that way. But we were just doing it, we have to do it, keep his neck still. And the surgery was definitely successful, and he had one more surgery to remove extra screws. But otherwise, the bones have been healed beautifully. Everything went well. And after that, every year, we would get his neck checked out by that surgeon. This year, the surgeon told us, I don't want you to think about his neck anymore. His neck is back. That was my first wish. That we wanted his neck back, the way it was. And yes, his neck is fine, and today he runs, he does everything. And that is all because of Swami. We did nothing but Swami. We hardly read a book. We hardly heard a speech. And he did everything for us. We're still taking micro steps, honestly. And he will be there. That's my confidence now is, even though he's our only child with autism, Swami is there for him all his life. And he has shown us in so many ways that yes, I'm here with him. This child, he grew up right now, but he can only give us love. He has nothing else. He cannot be angry. He cannot get jealous or anything, nothing. He is just, for us parents, he's filled our love bucket completely. Everyone he meets is a beautiful person. So that he is like just surrounded by Swami's love. And so I have no worry now. So, and that's what I wanted to share with you. Just another beautiful thing I wanted to share was, I've always wanted Sreekar to have a friend. Like every one of us, we want friends. Friends bring a lot of beauty and fragrance into our life. And I would tell Swami, Well, you know what? I know he cannot give anything back. I don't know what he can give back. But, it would be nice if he also felt the joy that a friend can bring into his life. And maybe he can be a good friend, I don't know that. I kept asking and then I let it go. When Sreekar came to the retreat in 2023, he found such a friend, actually. That was the right time for him, according to Swami. And the friend she is not going to be at this retreat, but the friend is Savita Sai. After the retreat, when they came back, she called me and she said, I want to be Sreekar's friend. And this is like, my goodness, out of the blue. So, how is Sreekar a friend to her was my thing. What's he going to do here? He just cannot give anything back. That was my thinking. But he is very good with timings and schedules and calendars and everything, to-do lists and all that. What did he do? He set up a schedule with her. Every day morning at 8 o'clock, he was going to call her. And he will call her, rain or shine. And they say Swami's prayers, Sai Gayatri, everything nicely together, and end the call. So one day I asked Savita, what is Sreekar able to give to you as a friend? And she said, do you know anyone who would call me every day at 8 o'clock and ask me how I'm doing? That is the best thing that can happen to me. And he does that, even now. So he still calls her like a clock. You don't need an alarm for that. So I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful to Swami. Whatever he feels about friendship, he's in charge. Swami is in charge. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. I was praying to Swami, why do I have to speak about you before the lunch or the dinner? But it is always, Swami's time is always different from what we think, So, thank you for that brief introduction. Yeah, I came to, Swami brought me in his fold in 1967. And we went it was like a 2.5-day railway journey from my place to Puttaparthi at that time. In a general railway class, you have traveled in the railway train. It's like a general compartment where we have to, lucky if you get a seat to sit down. So that was like a 2.5-day journey from my place, and we went all the way to the Puttaparthi. That was a summer vacation. My school was off, so my father took us to, let us go and have a Swami's darshan. We were staying in a railway colony, so you know how the railway colonies are in India. It's like a railway quarters opposite each other. Between them is like a 8-feet street. So just across from my quarter, there was a bhajan center. They used to have bhajans every Thursday. And we could listen to their bhajans sitting in our house. We were enjoying that bhajan because very rhythmic, and you all know the bhajans, how these are. So we were just good admirers of that bhajan. Me, my mother, my sister. But then slowly my mother started going. She went to the bhajans, she sat there for bhajan. The bhajan used to be for 1 hour at that time. So she used to go, and there they started with like a Shirdi, on the Shirdi pattern. The bhajans like in Marathi songs and Aarti, and the Aarti what happens in Shirdi. So that was their format of the bhajans. But we used to enjoy those bhajans. So the devotee, he told us, like, why don't you go and visit Satya Sai Baba? And we all went in one of the vacation, we all went there. We went there in Puttaparthi, and we knew that Swami is not there. So we were like, because we saw like there were not many people at that time. That was like a May vacation. So May, generally Swami is in Bangalore. We didn't knew that at that time. We didn't have any mode of communication to know where the Swami is right now. So we went there, Puttaparthi, we saw Swami's. There were a couple of small quarters at that time. There was one Ganesh shed just next to the gate on the left-hand side. There used to be one common shed where people used to come and stay. Then there were few quarters where the East Prashanti is. There were like 3 or 4 quarters where Professor Kasturi and some close devotees used to stay there. And of course, Swami's Prashanti Nilan. And where the Purna Chandra auditorium is right now, there was nothing. There was just an empty space. We knew that Swami used to give discourses in Dashera and Shivratri, and that was the big open area there. That's it. Nothing else was there. There was, of course, old Puttaparthi there, old Mandir, and Swami's birthplace. And also we all visited Chitravati and Kalpavraksh at that time. And then we decided, let's go to Bangalore. Let's go to Whitefield. And my father was little, upset because we went all the way to Puttaparthi, and so we decided, let's go to Bangalore. From Bangalore railway station, we took a taxi to go to the Whitefield. Now, as soon as we are entering Whitefield, we see people coming out. So the driver of the taxi, he said, I think Swami's darshan is over. That's why people are leaving. So anyway, we drove from there. So we took our chances and we waited at the gate. There were like 15, 20 people like us who were late in Swami's darshan. So somebody told Swami might come. Sometimes he comes after he gives darshan. So we waited there, waited for 3 hours. Then around 10 o'clock in the night, they told me now Swami is not going to come. So you all can go. And since all our back reservation everything was confirmed, we could not have Swami's darshan. So we went all the way and we came all the way back, 2.5 days journey, and we didn't have any Swami's darshan. I was too young, I was like 13 years old, so I couldn't understand the deeper, but my father was very upset. So, but Swami, as I told you, Swami's timing is all different from what we think. Swami wanted to give us a better chance. So we were selected as a delegate for the first World Conference in Bombay from our state. And there were at the most 50, 60 official delegates at that time. There were not many delegates. So we had this delegate badge with us, and we were sitting right in front of the stage where the first pandal used to be, and Swami, and we had a very beautiful darshan, very good interaction. Swami was coming and talking to everybody. Swami even talked to my mother on the ladies' side. She said in Gujarati, she said, "Kem cho? Kem cho? How are you?" So we had a very nice first World Conference. That was the first World Conference presided by Morarji Desai at that time. He was the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. So it was a beautiful interaction with Swami. That was the first darshan we had. Then in 1972, that chance came to me. I was in the college, second year of college at that time, and Swami selected 100 students from all over India to be participating in the first summer course in spirituality and Indian culture. That was in Whitefield in May 72. And I was the lucky one to chosen from my state. And we had 1 month in presence of Swami. Swami used to come sit in the lecture. Lectures are going on, Dr. Goka, Dr. Bhagwantam. There were a lot of scholars and educationists which were delivering lectures for 4 or 5 days, and 4 or 5 lectures in a day. So Swami used to come and sit down as a student. We were very lucky to have Mother Ishwaramba as one of the students. Mother Ishwaramba's chair was fixed right on that lady's corner where Annie is sitting there. So her chair was fixed there. And that particular summer course, Mother Ishwaramba passed away. So I had fortunate enough to see Mother Ishwaramba in that summer course. It was a very nice 1 month summer course, very close. Swami used to come to our hostel. We were sitting in our night dresses and anytime Swami would come, like, hey, how is the food? How are you doing? How is the climate? So he wanted to be, because it was the first summer course, Swami wanted us to be very, very comfortable in wherever we are, whatever we are doing. We are from all over India, there were students, so Swami wanted everybody to be very comfortable. On the last day when Swami, we had a convocation, Swami delivered, Swami gave us a shirt and a dhoti, and we had a charan spars of Swami, and there were a lot of interactions. After that, everybody left. It was 1st of June, so most of the students, they left. So we were like few students waiting for our return reservation in our railway train. So Swami called us in the morning, called them for an interview. We were like 20-25 students at that time, waiting for our return journey. Swami called us there. Swami then asked one of his, he was talking general, like how was the summer course, did you all like it, and just general, everybody, he was asking to everybody. So I was like, Swami was sitting in this chair and I was sitting right there. So Swami asked one of the resident of that Vrindavan ashram to get some pictures from inside. He brought some pictures of Swami, and the picture did not have any Swami's autograph. So one of the students got up and said, Swami, can you give us your autograph on this picture? So Swami looked at around and he said, like, oh, there are like 20-25 students, so it will be a little while before I will sign each and everybody's photograph. So he materialized a photo for us. It was the same picture which he gave to everybody, and it had his autograph on it. And I was sitting right there, and I could see that bundle coming out of his hands with a rubber band on it. Swami took off a rubber band, and it was the same exact number of pictures where the students were. Not one more, not one less. That was a very close, I could see how Swami is, then we had a group picture on the last day of the summer course. We had a group picture, and all the states were asked to be lined up. Swami's chair was placed there, and we were all have to be ready on the side. And this cameraman, he would have that Polaroid camera where he would take out one copy and he would give it to Swami. Swami would show it to everybody. Hey, see your picture, and then this copy will be sent to you at your address later on. So there was a state before us who were getting their picture, and we were standing right there on the side, out of the frame. So as soon as he clicked the picture, these students have to go there, and we have to come, and we have to take our places. So as soon as they were leaving, Swami said, no, don't go, the picture hasn't come. So that cameraman, when he took out that Polaroid film, that picture was blank. So he was showing like, see, I told you, it's blank, see? And we were on the side, so we could see that it was a blank. And they sat down again, and then the cameraman took another picture. So we could see that thing very, very closely. We had a nice, wonderful experience of Swami every time, and then it was like a regular feature. I was to be in the Sevadal, and I was in the Prashanti security team also. So in every function, we have to be there as a Sevadal volunteer for Swami's security. And we were trained in like how to, catch pickpocketers. So in that Sevadal, so because in Prashanti Lam during the functions there were a lot of people used to steal shoes and chappals of devotees, and they would sell. It was a big market at that time. We came to know in that training, we came to know that there was a big market in the Bangalore city where people would be selling those chappals at a very high rate. So a lot of devotees would complain that chappals are being, stolen. So we were trained how to stop that stealing. So one of our Sevadal wanted to ask, Swami, in your Prashanti Nilayam, how can you have this happen? People are stealing devotees' chappal. Swami said, I cannot prevent anybody from coming for my darshan. It is your job to prevent them from stealing. I cannot stop them because they are also my devotees. They are coming here with some other intention, but I cannot stop them from coming. It is your job. so you do it however you do it. We were trained on how to, so there were some very nice experiences later on. Swami used to give a charan spar to, at the end of the Sevadal time, we were sitting down, Swami used to come out, take letters and give vibhuti packets. So there were a lot of different interactions at that time. So I was lucky enough to be in Swami's fold. Thank you for the opportunity.